What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego back with some more boxing. So I wanted to spend some time talking about this Floyd Mayweather article with Ben Thompson and Fight Hype. He did an interview, an exclusive interview, let's say elaborately always put that, where he's addressing some of the things, namely Manny Pacquiao. As far as the interview, it was it was an article. I wish it was the actual audio or maybe footage of Mayweather saying all this, but at the very least audio. But I had to read it instead, so I was kind of disappointed with that. I'd rather at least have the phone conversation like recorded, just to hear the passion in the voices and that kind of stuff. But as far as the article, I'll read some of the excerpts from it and give you my standpoint. So Ben Thompson said, I know there's been rumors about you fighting Amir Khan in May, but you also said that Maidana's name is in the mix as well. As far as I know, you still haven't made up your mind about your next opponent. Is that still the case? This is Mayweather's response. I am my own boss, but I still communicate with my team, Ben, and my team does have a say-so. My team has to have input. Any real boss has a team, but I always have to have the last say-so. I'm so motherfucking cold in this game. I got heavyweights calling me out. I got fighters that are so desperate to fight me, they're making up fake contracts. If the Amir Khan fight presents itself, then you know what? It presents itself. Once again, Amir Khan has a good following, so it makes business sense. Then it makes money. No different from Ricky Hatton fight. It makes sense. Even like the Maidana fight, that fight makes sense. A lot of people believe in Maidana because of the Adrian Broner fight. They think since Broner has a similar style to mine, they think Maidana can crack the May Vinci code. Then Ben Thompson followed up by saying this. There's also been rumblings about fighting in New York. It didn't sound like he was too interested. He was basically saying the MGM is the mecca of boxing. So it sounds like for the moment, his fights are going to continue taking place in Las Vegas. Then they start talking about the Pacquiao fight. Ben Thompson said, let's talk about the whole Pacquiao situation for a minute. Coming off a win over Brandon Rios, people were quick to declare that he's back in top form, ready to fight with you. And then Mayweather responded by saying this. They say Manny Pacquiao is back. Why? Because he beat a blown-up lightweight? I like Brandon Rios. He's got heart, but Brandon Rios is a blown-up lightweight. Pacquiao did come from a smaller weight class, but he's been at the heavier weight classes longer than Brandon Rios. At least they should have let Brandon Rios get a tune-up fight before they just let the kid jump into a welterweight. They should have gave him a body, a cab driver, so he could get a feel for the weight class first. Pacquiao has experience fighting at that weight. Then they go on to talk about Pacquiao. Can you explain why at one point you took time to personally call Pacquiao, trying to make the fight? And this is Mayweather's response. Pacquiao had his opportunity. He had his chance. When he had the opportunity and he had his chance, I guess he was tooting his own horn. He felt he was on the same level as me. It's obvious he felt he was on the same level as me status-wise because he wouldn't have asked for 50-50. So now 2 losses later, and he's got a problem. The IRS, they don't play. I don't personally know his business, and I could care less about his business. I'm just speaking from what I've heard. Then they got a problem with the IRS, both here and his country. So when I offered you $40 million, you turned it down. I offered Manny Pacquiao $40 million, and he said he wanted 50-50. So now you took back-to-back losses too. And from what I hear, I don't know for a fact, but from what I hear, you got tax problems and you're begging to get the fight. You could care less if you win. All you want to do is fight Floyd Mayweather to clean up the tax bill, basically. He's got a $68 million tax problem now. He couldn't put 10 fights together and make $68 million. So now, who is he chasing? Then he goes on to say he don't need to be focused on Floyd Mayweather. He need to be focused on that tax business. I don't knock him for doing it, but all the cards are in my hand. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. To become pound for pound, I proved myself to be 45-0. And then he's really just talking about Bob Arum. He calls him Rob Arum, etc. So I'll let you guys read the rest of the article. I want to talk about some of the statements made in that article. Again, if you want to read the full article, you can go to fighthype.com and read the thing in its entirety. A lot of it's stuff we know, that he doesn't have a strong relationship with Bob Arum. He was like, why does Bob Arum want to work with a coward? And basically, why does Pacquiao want to fight after he takes back-to-back losses and has tax trouble? So there are certain things that I agree with him, and there are certain things I disagree. And if you listen to some of the complaints from the YouTube boxing community about Fight Hype, they say he's on Mayweather's jockstrap. So there's a couple things that they let Mayweather slide in their recent interviews. and they don't really elaborate or get him to elaborate or really speak up about some of the statements he's making. And I think that's what has some people thinking it's kind of like a fixed or rigged interview. It's not fully the questions we want to hear. They don't really put him in the hot seat, drill him, probably because they want to stay in his favor. So things that come up to mind would be the fact that he's critiquing Manny Pacquiao, and I quote, he says, "They say Manny Pacquiao is back. Why? Because he beat a blown-up lightweight," talking about Brandon Rios. And then they said they should have let Brandon Rios get a tune-up fight before they let the kid just jump up to welterweight, right? So using that logic from Mayweather, from what he said, you're calling Brandon Rios a blown-up lightweight, but saying he has heart and he should have had a tune-up. Yet earlier, in an earlier question, you just said Amir Khan is a potential candidate for your next fight in May. So Amir Khan, not necessarily a blown up lightweight, but he's never fought at welterweight. So you're saying he has a good following, but he hasn't fought at welterweight, just like Brandon Rios hadn't fought at welterweight. So what's the difference? He's coming from 140 and Brandon Rios came from 140. Brandon Rios fought twice at 140. He fought Alvarado twice at 140, then moved up. So just because Khan had more fights at 140 and never at welterweight, it's automatically better. Don't agree with that. I do agree with Mayweather, however, when he's talking about Pacquiao basically being mismanaged from Bob Arum and Michael Kantz. I think they fucked him royally, and I think he is looking to cash out and get some money. I don't know if he doesn't feel he can't beat Mayweather and he's doing it solely for monetary gain. I don't know if I agree with that. However, obviously he's more desperate to make the fight because he does have the tax trouble and hasn't really made the amount of money that a person of his stature should have made in terms of Manny Pacquiao. So there's some things that he said that I agree with, but as far as calling Brandon Rios a blown up lightweight and saying he should have fought at welter, but you're talking about fighting Amir Khan, and he's never fought at welter, and he's fought at 140 in his previous fight. And on top of that, he didn't even look good in his last couple of fights. He looked good against Carlos Molina, and that was a 135-pounder with no punching power that moved up again to face Amir Khan, and he got blown out of the water. So that was his best fight in the last 3 fights. Lamont Peterson, that was a rough and tumble, whether you would have gave it to Khan or whether you gave it to Peterson. It was a tough fight, and Peterson exposed certain flaws in Khan's game, like his inside fight game. Then Danny Garcia obviously won by TKO, had him hurt in the 3rd and 4th round, and it was stopped in the 4th. Fought Carlos Molina, a tune-up fight with a new trainer. Cool, I'll give you that. Then he fought Julio Diaz at a catchweight and struggled, got knocked down. Julio Diaz, to my knowledge, I don't remember him getting knocked down, but at a catchweight, Julio Diaz was able to knock Amir Khan down, and Amir Khan had the speed advantage, he had the hometown advantage, and probably the height and reach advantage. And Julio Diaz gave him all he can handle, and this is the performance that he's coming off. Amir Khan was supposed to fight Devin Alexander. Now, if he fought Devin Alexander and did the Sean Porter and beat Devin Alexander, took his belt, then I'd be like, okay, a Mayweather fight makes a lot more sense. But he pulled out of the Devin Alexander fight, or they never finalized that fight, and he didn't want to ruin his chances for the Mayweather sweepstakes, so the fight never happened. Devin Alexander went to lose to Sean Porter, and now all of a sudden they're talking about Khan. So how does he not fight at welterweight ever, skip the Devin Alexander fight, who had a title, and possibly still get a Mayweather fight? So I still don't agree with that. I don't see how that's justifiable. Even though Mayweather tried to compare it to Ricky Hatton, I think Ricky Hatton was a far bigger star in the UK than Amir Khan. I'm not saying Amir Khan doesn't have any fans in the UK. However, I distinctly remember me and my brother ordered the Mayweather and Ricky Hatton fight. There was motherfuckers that flew from the UK and they brought like band instruments and they were singing in the crowd and playing like trumpets and all kinds of shit for Ricky Hatton. They really took that flight, that 12-hour flight to Vegas or whatever length of time, 15 hours, to see their fighter. I don't know how many people are willing to do that for Amir Khan, to that degree. I mean, there was legions of people that were there to support Ricky Hatton. So I'm not saying Khan isn't a business fight. Like, obviously he has somewhat of a name, but there's other people that have the same amount of name or the same amount of fanfare, I would say, in the States that you could argue. So that's my thoughts. Check the article out. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.